Hey everybody, hope you're doing okay. Today's Wednesday, July 19th. It's almost 6 o'clock here in Vegas. And I was just catching Andrea Parker's update down at the federal courthouse here in Las Vegas. And she was talking about some of the questions that the jury was asking, since the judge has now allowed the jury to question the witnesses and stuff like that. And the other day during jury selection, she also updated us to let us know that the judge had brought back 4 jurors that were struck by the defense because she didn't like their reason for striking them, so she brought them back. And now they are part of the jury. And what I have realized, and you guys give me your feedback on this, I'd like to hear it too. What I believe going on right now in this courtroom, the reason that the jury are allowed to ask questions throughout the trial is so that the prosecutor and the judge can get an idea of their state of mind. Okay, they want to know how the jury's thinking. By the questions that the jury asks, you can tell the way the jury is thinking. And Andrea even surmises some of it, that she believes they're starting to catch on that, you know, that timeline the prosecutor put up is, you know, it's really inadequate because there's a lot of stuff missing. And the jury also asked the, you know, #1 question that's on everybody's mind also is, why was the BLM armed if they're just out there to confiscate cattle in April 2014? Why were there snipers up on the hill, guys? You know, why was this family being harassed? Why was Dave Bundy's face ground into the ground and detained for several hours before transported into town, held for several days and let go when they did not have the authority at the time to arrest anyone? But they did, and they held him, they detained him. There was a lot of stuff going on out there that day, but I digress. What I believe is happening right now is, by the jury being allowed to ask questions, the judge and the prosecution is allowed to evaluate the state of mind of the jury to find out if they're going to get a guilty verdict or not. And this is what I surmise is going to happen. I'm predicting it right now because I had some predictions in the previous trial. I believed that it would have been a hung jury, but I didn't come forth with that information. I really just kept my opinion to myself. But here's my opinion on this. If it looks as if the jury is not buying the narrative of the government and they're not going to get a guilty verdict, I do believe at some point that Judge Gloria Navarro will find a way to call a mistrial. It will be based on something the defense has done or something a defendant said or did or whatever. That's what it'll be blamed on. Evidence that they tried to get in or whatever it is. If they're not going to get a guilty verdict, I think that she may call for a mistrial so the prosecution can go back and re-edit and edit the evidence again and improve their case, because they're not going to set these guys free. They do not want to set these guys free. With all the tactics that we have seen and heard from the judge and by the judge and by the prosecution, what these reports are telling us, you know, that the deck is stacked against them. So the judge knows that it is proper court etiquette for, you know, not to have all of these sidebars in court because it makes a jury impatient. She knows this, okay? And the fact that all of these sidebars are happening, it is, I believe initially it was set up to piss the jury off, to turn them against the defense, but I think that it's making them more disgruntled towards the prosecution and the judge. And I agree with Andrea. Listening to her updates, I believe that from her perspective, you know, the jury is starting to question, you know, the narrative of the judge and the prosecutor. So my prediction, the jury is allowed to ask questions so that the judge and the prosecution can evaluate the frame of mind of the juries to ensure they either get a guilty verdict or that the judge can call a mistrial before they go in to deliberate the case. Because the federal government does not want to let these men go. And if it looks like they're not going to get a guilty verdict, I think she will call a mistrial. That's my opinion, guys. Tell me what you think. Listen to Andrea Parker's updates. Jay Grady is posting them. She grabs them from Facebook, gets them up on the website as soon as she can to keep everybody informed. And I'll post the link in the video. Okay, you guys have a good evening.